Question, order. Question number 5, James Shaw.
E te mangai o te whare, tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
To the Prime Minister, does he stand by his statement that, quote, New Zealand is never going to sign up to the TPP unless we believe that it is in New Zealand's best interests, end quote?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Is it in the best interests of New Zealand's $32 billion ICT sector if the TPPA requires changes to the Copyright Act that would disallow reverse engineering of software for interoperability purposes?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, given the deal hasn't even been concluded yet, I can't go into the individual parts, but what I can say is the overall statement from the government stands true. We're not going to sign TPP unless we believe it's in the best interest of New Zealand on the balance of benefits. But I would have thought the opportunity to have free trade with the United States, Japan, Mexico, Canada and other countries puts us in a very, very strong position.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, James Shaw.
My question was in relation to New Zealand's $32 billion ICT sector.
And I heard the question and the essence of the answer that I heard from the Prime Minister is he can't really comment on that because the matter's still under negotiation. That addresses the question. Further supplementaries?
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Does he agree with the lawyer for Vattenfall, the German nuclear power company currently suing the German government, that if countries don't want to be sued by multinational corporations, they shouldn't sign up to agreements containing investor-state dispute settlement mechanisms like the TPPA?
Mr Speaker.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no. New Zealand has in successive free trade agreements, including the China FTA signed by the previous Labor government, had investor-state dispute resolution. The important part is having safeguards included in that.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
If, as calculated by the Parliamentary Library, the benefit to New Zealand's dairy sector is only $37 million a year by 2025, or 0.01% of GDP, while the cost to Pharmac from patent extensions is up to $50 million a year, will he still sign the TPPA?
Speaker,
the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
This is the problem with the Greens' economic analysis and research. You are using the Parliamentary Library to model something even I don't know the details of yet. So guess what? You put rubbish information in, you get rubbish information out. Actually, the member who's done a little bit of this stuff in his previous career is way better than this. He would never have done this for a client.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Does he stand by today's statement about the TPP and prescription drugs that quotes that patents will run for a little bit longer and that means the government will have to pay for the original drug as opposed to the generic, end quotes? If so, can he guarantee that this won't mean higher costs for taxpayers for subsidised medicines or higher costs to patients for non-subsidised medicines, or a risk that some medicines will no longer be subsidised due to the increased budget pressure?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I can guarantee consumers won't pay more. I think it's highly unlikely, actually, the government will have to pay any more through Pharmac. But on the basis that it had to pay a tiny bit more, the government would fund that increase, because actually what would end up happening is the government would earn a lot more revenue through tax revenue. That's why David Shearer, Phil Goff and David Parker and Clayton Coffer are all in favour of TPP.
It's not necessary to the answer.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
What specifically would it take for him to walk away from the TPPA?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
If I didn't believe the deal was in New Zealand's best interest.
Question number 6.